Okay, great.
In the middle of the light.
Oh, interesting.
We can vote when we go.
Technology there.
New to me. Good evening, folks. My name is Joe Shivers. Excuse me. I'm with Technology Solutions. Frank invited me here this evening to speak to you about the proposed gate solution. My presentation will probably pale in comparison to his, but what I'm here to do is just tell you a little bit about my company and how Frank and I met. We met about a year ago, talking about surveillance as well as gate security. I think he was led to me by Dwelling Live. I do a lot of work with them. I also work on Hilton Head Island where I have a lot of clients, so do a lot of gated access there, a lot of surveillance there as well. So let me start off by giving you a little information on my company, Technology Solutions. We started as Technology Solutions about 25 years ago in Charleston, South Carolina. A couple of salespeople, local salespeople bought out the company, and since then we got into the security technologies of things, and we partnered with iPoint Security. We own the iPoint brand for the most part. We manufacture our own cameras and whatnot. Myself, I've been with the company, it's actually 18 years. I've been with the company for 18 years now. I was a Cisco certified engineer back in the day, Microsoft certified, and since then I probably couldn't do much with a router or a computer because I don't have any roles there anymore. I'm more so a salesperson, account manager, project manager. So basically our fleet, we have about 50 trucks on the road at any given time. We're in Charleston, we're in Florida, we're in Florence, we're in Columbia, South Carolina, we're in Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, we're in Hilton Head, we're in a lot of places. So basically we have a fleet of trucks, a variety of different vehicles on the road to handle any type of service call we might have. Basically there's a couple of our trucks here. This is our Charleston, South Carolina location. And this is any given morning, a couple of our trucks here. This is actually at the city of Isle of Palms. I also do the SC511 cameras, the South Carolina DOT cameras. So if you're driving up and down I-95 and you see one of those cameras up there, I actually have a couple of those cameras. And this camera I have on top of this pole, on top of this signal light here, is actually an SC501 South Carolina Department of Transportation 511 camera. You can bring it up on your phone, you can see the traffic's, any traffic's on the roads. So that's the city of Isle of Palms there, and that's one of our bucket trucks. I'm showing this because I'm showcasing that we do all of our own work, whether it's directional boring, electrical work, everything, all fingers point back to us when it comes to the solution. We've grown so much that we specialize in copper, fiber optics, whatever it takes to get the job done as far as installing surveillance, access control, gates, etc. And basically this is us at the town of Hilton Head Island. We have the contract with the town of Hilton Head Island County Parks. I do all their surveillance, all their gate systems there. I also have a contract with the city of North Augusta, city of Columbia. I do Comcast Southeast. Comcast, who would sell you surveillance cameras, I actually do their surveillance for Comcast, the Southeast sector, Comcast. So basically this is just a reel of conduit on the back of one of our trucks, and we're actually running conduit in a park to get to our cameras. This is just one of our basic trucks. Basically anytime we pull up to the job, we're going to pull up in a newer vehicle with these logos on the vehicle. So when you pull up, you'll know that we're professionals. We handle things properly. We have 2 size ladders on each truck. Every truck has replacement cameras, replacement boards for gates, whatever we need to solve the problem. We outfit our technicians and engineers with them so they don't have to go out, figure out what the problem is, go back to the shop, then come back out 2 days later. We like to be proactive as possible, and this is one of our just basic field trucks that go out every day. Now, a few of my clients, basically, I started as a state and local government rep, so we hold the South Carolina State and Local Government, South Carolina Security Protection Contract. There's 2 vendors in South Carolina that have that contract, and that's me and another company that really don't focus on access control, surveillance, and burglar like I do. So with that, I handle a lot of universities, a lot of school districts, a lot of state and local government entities. And the nature of what I do, a lot of these people who work in the schools, in the municipalities, live in gated communities, and that's kind of how I got into this niche of, gates and whatnot and surveillance. So Sea Pines is similar to you. Sea Pines Resorts is in the middle there. Sea Pines, I do all their gates for their boat landings. I do pedestrian gates. I do their man gates for them. And these are just a few clients you may or may not know of. Shelter Cove is another larger client of mine on Hilton Head Island. I have probably about 4 or 5 miles of fiber in the ground interconnecting all of my surveillance as well as gate systems there. And you can just read up, maybe you know these clients, maybe you don't, but these are just a few and they're pretty close to you. I also just finished up a project at the Enclave, and that's in Savannah. And that's quite a similar solution to what I'm proposing here. And these are some more clients of mine. I do a lot of library systems around the area. I do a lot of municipalities, like I said, so here's just a ton of them here. Okay, sorry about that. That's the Enclave Gate project. Sorry. Basically, for this project, here's who I'd allocate to this project. These are just certain levels of technician. Myself, I'm the project manager. As far as technical support in-house, you probably can't read that from here, but we have 3 people in our technical support department. Basically, we take calls for any service-related issues. Every engineer has a program on his phone, so if he's in the area and you have a problem with your gate or your surveillance cameras, it comes up on his phone. So we geographically know where our technicians are, and we can send them to whoever the closest technician is, we can send them out to fix any problems you might have. But as far as this project is concerned, that's about how many people we have allocated to the project. As far as the last row, that would be the technicians and engineers that would be assigned to the project. So once we got in to do the project, it would probably take us about a solid week and a half to finish up. Okay, so there are gate installers out there, and there are visitor management solutions providers like myself. Basically, I'm not coming in just installing a gate system. I want your gate systems to work with your amenity center, work with your surveillance, and possibly start charging vendors to actually get access to your community. So what we're proposing now is just the tip of the iceberg for community management for this particular community. For instance, your pool gate, we'll have a reader at the telephone entry system. You'll be able to swipe a badge as well as click a clicker to get in, as well as drive through and have the RFID reader read the transponder on the windshield of your vehicle. But say you took your golf cart out and you just wanted to take a proximity badge that's the size of a credit card. Basically, you can just pull up to the telephone entry system and swipe it in front of a reader, and that will grant you access into the community. That same car will also grant you access into your amenities, whatever they may be, the marina, the pool gate, or what have you. And say somebody's kid threw a kegger at the pool and he wasn't allowed there for a couple of months, you can actually take that right to get into the pool area away from that one person for a certain amount of time, whatever the reason may be. So you can actually manage this system pretty effectively. And this just goes into a little bit more about what we do. Basically, we take into account the pains of the community, the residents, property managers, and developers, and we use the latest IP-based technologies. We use Cat6 copper as well as fiber optic cabling. I don't think a lot of other integrators do what I do as far as integrating the fiber, the copper, and whatnot. A lot of times it's just an analog solution, and they stick it in, they do what they know to do, and that's it. One great thing about the system that we're installing here, as far as accountability, whoever swipes a card, you'll know who that person is, when, where, who came in the community. And you can run reports on that. So if you know that somebody possibly lost their badge to get in the community, and they ask for a new one, you can actually bring up their profile and see how many badges they have and see if that other badge is being used by maybe somebody else, and you could deactivate that badge in the system. So remote management is also a great feature of the system. Basically, if you're having a garage sale, you can go into the system remotely and have the gates open for a Saturday or Sunday garage sale or what have you. If you have a party, You can have the gate open. You can do a lot of things as far as remotely opening and closing. I can do it. Whoever has a credentials can open the gate if they needed to. Here's a neat thing I do. I do it for a couple of trouble communities in Hilton Head, the gate breach notifications. Basically, what I designed, it's called an iPoint alert. Okay, if somebody comes and basically your gates are going to be on levers up and down. So if somebody comes and jimmies that gate, tries to push it open or bumps it with a vehicle, what happens is it sets off a plunger on the gate system itself, and it actuates the camera. And the camera takes 3 screenshots, and the screenshots are maybe a couple of seconds apart. And immediately, those screenshots get emailed to me, whoever the elected security person is in the community. So that's what the email looks like. It would come to whoever. And basically, these are actual screenshots of a community. So there is a vehicle RFID reader there. And these are identical gates to what you'd be getting from me. And basically, this actually happened. This car hit the gate in the first picture here. It's coming through in the second. And it's going in reverse, you can see from the taillights in this picture. So basically that's an automatic feature, and that's what I propose to you as well. That's a breakaway gate system. So you'll be able to find out who did something to the gate, if it's somebody that forgot the card, or if somebody's just trying to get through, or somebody's doing something malicious. Basically you can hold them accountable for that. A client called Westbury Park, they charge, anybody who causes that to happen gets charged $250. And they pay it too. So. And this is just a closer picture to show you that we got the license plate number, and it shows you what date. So this was on 6/15/2016 at this time. Again, up here is the transponder reader, and there are a couple of my cameras on the post up there.
I got a quick question. We have this building for 1 hour, if I'm trying to clarify. How long do we have the building for?
No, till we're done.
Till we're done?
I'll be out of here by Sunday morning.
Okay, good. Just wanted to clarify. Thanks.
Okay, so basically this is a new install. We didn't really plant anything around it yet, we just laid this. This is actually a license plate camera that's connected to that gate breach notification system. If you notice, on this island here, basically before we came, this solution was way far back here. And what happened is when it read the person's card, they drive up almost probably 500 feet and the gate would come down. So a good thing about our company is we used our directional boring machine. We didn't have to cut the road. We went under the road to the center median. I installed my NEMA box here with my electronics, and I came under to the telephone entry system, and I put this in a bit later to catch license plates of cars coming through. So, like I said, we can get to places where other vendors can't because we have the equipment to do so, and that was our directional boring machine that did that. So as far as access control features and reporting, I touched upon this a little. Basically, this is one of my active communities. Again, it's Westbury Park in Bluffton, South Carolina. And you know who went through what gate at what time. Access granted, access granted, access granted. So you can run basic reports of the system and see who went through and when. And these are schedule commands, so your gates are going to be open from whenever to whenever. In the daytime hours, it will be closed in the evening. So you can set schedules on the gates, you can set holiday schedules on the gates. So it's basically whatever you can come up with, you can set a schedule on the gate to be open or closed. And again, you can come in remotely and open the gate manually. You can do it with the proper credentials, you can do it from a PC, a Mac, a cell phone, what have you. Gate system reliability. This is actually what I'm quoting here. This is linear AE 2000 plus. This is your telephone entry system. So basically somebody's going to pull up to it, they're going to find your name right there, and they're not going to see your address, they're just going to see your name because they need to know who they're coming to see. Obviously, when they're coming to the community, they don't need to see the address. Then there'll be a 4-digit code next to the name. They'll press a 4-digit code and it will dial whatever phone numbers you have in the linear telephone entry system. And basically you pick up the phone, you talk to who it is, and you press 9 and then you allow them to enter into the community. Otherwise you can press pound and hang up on the person. And I think these are great because, when you do have a guard, I deal with a lot of universities. I was at South Carolina State University a couple days ago. Actually, it was the University of South Carolina. I could pull up to any gate system and talk to a guard and get through. The bottom line is, they're really, you can make up any excuse to get around a gate guard, but these telephone entry systems, they don't discriminate. They're not going to let you through unless you have the proper credentials or you're coming to visit somebody and they let you through. So this is a weatherproof telephone entry system here. This is exactly what I have quoted to the community, and it's done pretty well for us in the past. That's pretty much what I use in every community. This is the FAAC gate controller. It's not going to be orange, they're going to be white. This is a very reliable system. You see them at major toll roads. It's a high duty cycle. Basically, when you come through that gate, it's going to open quickly. And what we do is second level programming on these gates. So we put an exit loop in the ground right below the gate arm. And this doesn't stop tailgating, but it prevents it. Basically, when your rear tires go from under that gate arm, that gate closes like a lever. It closes very hard and very quickly. And that curtails tailgating, but nothing ever stops tailgating. You're always going to have the person that's trying to speed up behind you and get in there. It's tough, but that's one thing that I do, and that's at second level programming, to have right when you go over that wire that's in the ground, it's a paver loop. Right when you go over that wire, that gate comes down like a lever.
But what is towing something? But like if you have a boat.
That's a great question. There are also safety loops in there too, and it's right past the gate. There are actually 3 loops in the ground. There's one in front, one in the middle, and one in the back. But that's a great question because, yeah, I've seen inferior installations where that very thing has happened. This is why gate systems fall into disrepair because no one maintains them. You have to have proactive maintenance on your gate systems. So basically what we offer is an all-inclusive parts and labor warranty on the gate system. We cover everything from the switches to the cabling to the gate controllers to the telephone entry system. Everything that has to do with the gate system we cover. Everything except for force majeure. If it was struck by lightning, we wouldn't cover that. If somebody crashed into the gate, we wouldn't cover that. We provide a quote to fix it. But this is why we're really popular too, is because we maintain our systems. You need to have somebody that's going to be around to maintain your system. You have to have knowledgeable staff too. And I don't know if I mentioned that I have a pretty deep staff pool as far as engineers and technicians. Here's some recent projects. This is actually at the Charleston County School District. So that's one of my trucks there. And that's the exact controller that I'd be putting in. And for this solution, I'm actually going to be building up a curb in the center of the road for y'all. And then you have your ballards here. You have your red light, green light, which is excellent for causing a cadence to get into the neighborhood. People know when to swipe their card, unless you have the transponder, because that doesn't apply. But we found that really helps the community. Those are LED lit red light, green lights that help the community a lot as far as when to go, when not to go. This is a NEMA 4 box. It's an all-weather enclosure for the most part, and this is where our electronics are. So we got from one side of the road to the center using our directional boring machine. We came up the center, we came up with our conduit, and we actually built that curb out. So on the top of this post here, it's a Southern Yellow Pine Internal Raceway post where we have the cameras going up. So we don't have any conduit on the outsides of the posts. We run all the conduit internally. And those little things, people notice because working in Hilton Head, it's a really high-end area. So we do a lot of high-end work. So everything has to be top-notch. And being that we work in state and local government, we have to work to a certain level. We can't just do, we have to have the same quality of work across the board. So sometimes I lose business by adding things to my NEMA boxes like an uninterrupted power supply, a hubble box to terminate my fiber, all the things that are standard that other integrators will say, they're not going to see it, maybe they don't need it, but in the end, you do need it, and that's what you're going to get with me. This is a finished installation of similar to what you'd be getting, and not identical to but similar, because the gate arms you'd be getting are actually a round gate arm because they're on the breakaway gate arm system. But one for the entry, one for the exit. They're going to raise in the middle because when people are making that right after the telephone entry system, say it's a truck, they may hit the gate arm as it comes down. So having the gates in the middle will solve that problem. And that way, when people are leaving the community, you're gonna have that exit loop for them to pass over. It's gonna open the gate on the left side, when facing into the community for them to leave. And that right side gate will stay down. They're independent of each other. Additionally, we put the gates on an uninterrupted power supply. So basically, if electric fails to the gate system, they fail to open if electricity gets cut. So if there's an interruption, and once the power comes back, the gates start operating and they close again. So in case of a hurricane or anything, they'll fail to open. We can change that. There's programming to do so, but just to let you know, they are in an uninterrupted power supply. So in case there was a power failure, the gates are smart enough to know to open up so people can get through. This is a recent install. This is in Sea Pines at Turtle Lane Club. I was involved in this from the inception with the architecture, with the general contractor. This here, this is a very nice community. These gates here, these gates, there are 2 leaves on each side. These gates alone, just the physical gate, cost $30,000, which blows my mind because they're gates and people are going to hit the gates all the time. They're 6x6, and this is mahogany, these gates. And they're steel strap mahogany gates that we installed here. So yeah, they're $30,000 gates, and the funniest thing is they actually painted them. And I'm not sure why they would paint mahogany gates, but they did, and this is them painted. And Frank mentioned this earlier, I actually have cameras throughout this community, and everything is connected via fiber. I use multi-mode fiber to connect to cameras all around the community. So I have a gate system here. It's an unmanned gate, and I have cameras throughout the community. We have certified welders on staff, so we do our own welding. We do our own electrical work. So from start to finish, we do everything. We don't outsource anything. Anytime we're going to cut under a road, we call 811, no cuts, and we make sure everything's, all the utilities are marked. We've been doing this a long time, and we've gotten very good at it. This is almost the finished product of those gates, those very, very expensive gates going to Turtle Lane Club. John Cougar Mellencamp has a place in Turtle Lane Club, by the way, or whatever he's called these days, John Mellencamp. And this is one of our towable welding machines here. So basically, for any job, we have all the equipment to take care of whatever type of job we embark on. This is almost a finished product. So basically, we fabbed the gates up, we installed them. For this particular gate, little things that the client may not know. We want these gates to close correctly. So on the other side in the center, I actually have a mag lock. And they have the same telephone entry system that you will have. But basically, when that gate closes, that mag lock actually locks the gate so it doesn't rock after it closes. So there's a little things, doing this for a while, that they help out a lot, and they help make the gate system last. This is the linear telephone entry system. Basically, there's a trim ring, and I worked with the general contractor. I gave him the dimensions of the trim ring that went into this recessed wall. He built the wall custom so I can insert my box. So we put the linear system recessed it into this trim ring here, and that's the exact system, although yours is going to be on a gooseneck mount. But if you wanted to get that exotic with it, you could do that with the telephone entry system. But that's the exact one I'm quoting to your community. Here is the RFID reader that's going to read the transponders on the vehicles. We found a neat place for it. It actually works really well right there. He actually painted it a tan color, which works well, and it blends in pretty nicely, considering it's a really, really high-end job there. This is Sea Pines. Sea Pines makes a lot of money, and you could probably start making money off your gate in years to come if you integrate like a community management type software like a Dwelling Live. You can have your vendors, your landscapers, your plumbers pay a fee to come in and maintain the area, whether they're going to your house or just serving the community. So there is potential of actually making money with the gated solution. But here, basically, I have a red light, green light there, a transponder reader there, and another red light, green light there. Here, centerboard post with my cameras on top, and I use a copper topper there. And again, this is Westbury Park in Bluffton, South Carolina. And that's just doing work in the Shelter Cove community, and that's on Hilton Head Island, where I have cameras going for about 2 miles down the street, all interconnected via fiber. And that's one of my trucks. This is a routine service call. This is a SC511 camera. This is on the Island Palms connector in South Carolina. This views all the way up to the top of the road. That's just an example of my camera systems. I told you I had a contract with the town of Hilton Head County Parks. This is one of my newer installs. Again, these are my cameras on top of the post here, and this is the new Shelter Cove Community Park. And again, another one of my installations. I bored under the road here to get to the center to put this camera up here, because that's where they actually requested it. Any other vendor couldn't get there, but we did. We bored under the road. There's a close-up shot of our cameras. Again, no conduit on the outside. Everything's sealed in with silicone. We use anti-corrosion paste on all our RJ45 ends for the cameras, whether you are familiar with that or not. And here's a copper topper here. This is actually the city of Isle of Palms. And you can see this is all concrete. Again, I actually got my cameras to the median, and the police use this frequently. This is a busy area, but you have my cameras here at the front beach. And again, I have a PTZ here. This is at Shelter Cove Park, and just another example of the quality of work. And this is just in a field. Basically, not a lot of people can get cameras in the middle of the field, but we actually built this backboard. We varnished it. We made it weather resistant for the most part. And this is all our equipment with a meter box and such. And this is trenching out to a camera up here. And again, this is just another showing of an example of what we could do. And that's it. Thanks,